Stage 2 load shedding will continue until 10 o'clock tonight and resume again tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. The power cuts have returned as parts of the country are freezing due to cold fronts, with Eskom blaming breakdowns in generation units. To discuss, we're joined by energy expert and MD at EE Publishers, Chris Yelland, who ironically is actually being load shed, so we don't have him on Skype. We have him over the phone. Chris, thank you for being with us. This is very bad timing. Does it make sense what Eskom is saying about these generation units?
Well, the thing is, we've been fed the idea that coal-fired power is reliable, baseload, dispatchable power, but the reality is very different. It's intermittent, it's unreliable, it's variable, and it's completely unpredictable. And we are seeing now a spate of breakdowns. And what we really need now is flexible generation that can fill the gaps between all the intermittency of coal-fired power.
And how would that be possible?
Well, it's not possible in the short term, but in the longer term, what we really need is more gas to power. Gas to power can be ramped up and down quickly and fill the gaps for those hours where a generator may be down. Unfortunately, we've got a shortage of all kinds of power in South Africa. We've got a shortage of baseload, mid-merit, and peaking power. And that's where we are at the moment. And to be honest, no amount of maintenance is going to solve the problem that we've got a shortage and that the power stations that we have are getting old and need to be replaced. What we really need is new generation capacity. Maintenance can only take us so far, and I don't believe that that we can get the energy availability factor up with the existing old plant. The old plant is getting older every single year.
Yeah.
So the best we can hope for by doing proper maintenance is to stabilize the energy availability factor at the current very low levels.
Well, I mean, South Africa always talks about this energy mix and mixing it up, like you say, and we're looking at nuclear energy again. Are the right moves being made right now, at least, to ensure that at some point this stops, Chris?
There are some moves, but to be honest, it's going very, very slowly. Things like new nuclear are not a solution for the next 10 to 15 years. And that doesn't solve the problem that we've got right now, and certainly not in the next 5 to 10 years. So what we need right now is we need to have customers becoming part of the solution by building their own generation on their plants. This own generation can be delivered, in 8 months to 18 months. And we need municipal generation, which is being held back by regulations and laws. And we need the renewable energy IPP program to be started. So there are short, medium, and longer-term solutions. We need gas to power. We do not need new coal. We've got 80% coal in the mix. We've got too much coal in the mix. And you can see what's happening. It's unreliable, intermittent, variable, and unpredictable.
So I remember the relatively new Eskom CEO saying there was a very, very small chance of load shedding this winter. That was a few months ago. Do you think Eskom has been realistic in sort of assessing the risks and communicating those risks?
Clearly not. They said they expected 3 days of load shedding in winter. The winter is June, July, and August. And we're in July at the moment, and we are going to have load shedding tomorrow. Eskom has already announced it. So we've had it on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That is, the 3 days are already up. Not only that, but they said 3 days of stage 1 load shedding. We're having 3 days of stage 2 load shedding. So the situation is much worse than they predicted. Look, they did say that 3 days with an 80% probability. So but they gave themselves an escape clause because they'll now say that we're in the 20% zone, which is outside their prediction.
Yeah.
So, but the bottom line is we're only halfway through, winter, and we're already over the limit, well over the limit. In fact, double the limit, because we've got stage 2 load shedding for 3 days instead of stage 1 load shedding for 3 days.
And it has been pointed out, I mean, this comes when the economy is so weak, there's a lack of demand. Eskom has acknowledged that. Imagine the economy was running at full throttle right now.
Well, that's the astounding thing. It's coming during the COVID-19 lockdown. Now, we know that there has been an easing of the lockdown, but still demand is lower than expected before the lockdown. And not only that, the economy is in a very bad space at the moment. And yet, despite that, despite COVID-19, despite the economy, we're in stage 2 load shedding as we speak, on a weekend, on a Saturday.
And Eskom also saying, the last statement said the generation units are expected back in service tonight, but the load shedding will continue. This is about getting more reserves up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. You see, during the course of last week, there was a cold front in the Cape, and they were running the open cycle gas turbines and the pump storage schemes flat out in order to avert load shedding. And for several days, they were operating by the skin of the teeth. In other words, they avoided load shedding, but to do so, they ran these open cycle gas turbines with pump storage schemes fully. This uses a lot of diesel and also uses a lot of water. And now on the weekend, they're using this time, doing load shedding on the weekend, but taking the opportunity to replenish the diesel stocks, to replenish the water reserves in the top dams of the pump storage schemes. And they're doing this during the weekend, which is there to minimize the economic impact, because the economic impact of doing this during the week, the working week, would be greater. So it is helping the economy, but of course we feel the pain.
Yeah, especially with the cold. Thank you very much. That was the MD at EE Publishers, Chris Yelland.